on charm.
Head to the downtown Lee Summit Farmers Market, where local meets fresh. Then grab a cup of coffee and discover a variety of shops and boutiques just around the corner. Continue the fun in downtown Lee Summit at a retro arcade bar. Discover your new beer at one of our 6 locally owned breweries. Cool off with some handcrafted cocktails at happy hour. End the night with live music and good company. Lee Summit, Missouri.
Hello, Lee Summit. I'm Laura, and this is your flash briefing for the week of January 13th. City Council will hold a joint session Tuesday night with the Lee Summit Parks and Recreation Board at 6 p.m. in Council Chambers at City Hall. The meeting is open to the public or watch live on the city's YouTube channel. If you can't watch, catch the recorded meeting on demand on the YouTube channel or by subscribing to the Council Debrief newsletter, which breaks down 3 to 4 key agenda items. Subscribe at cityofls.net. It sure is cold outside. Be sure to protect your pipes by doing these 4 simple tasks. Disconnect hoses from outside spigots, leave cabinet doors open for warm air circulation, let water trickle to keep it flowing, and insulate pipes and faucets in unheated areas. Find more winterization tips at lswater.net. Stay safe and informed with LS Aware, the city's free alert system designed to keep residents and businesses informed of emergencies such as winter events, road closures, and certain non-emergency events. The city can quickly send messages via phone, text, or email depending on the preference set up by the user. Users choose how to be notified and what information they wish to receive. Sign up at lsaware.net. The city is hiring. Join our team at the City of Lee Summit. The city offers rewarding career opportunities, a positive environment, and fantastic benefits. View these opportunities at lspeople.net. A reminder, city facilities will be closed on Monday, January 20th. Thanks for listening and have a great week.
Welcome to the Lee Summit Sign Department. We are going to walk you through our process from start to finish. We make signs as needed here. It's not like we just go out into the field and place a speed limit sign here, no parking here. Our traffic engineers, they go through and they'll do field studies. They'll send us down an engineering work order for us to go out, place new signs or remove signs as needed. Coming from the material, our blanks come in and they're just aluminum blanks. We can put our white, our red, our fluorescent yellow, green, whatever. And basically what it looks like is just that there. Throw it up into the roller. And once we got it covered, take it to our work table here, and Tim will cut the corners, cut all the access off to where it's lined up right. As far as the plotter and the software that we use, there's a street name sign there, and he's gonna go ahead and print that out on the plotter so you can see the plotter and how it operates and runs. There's standards for the height, even just on letters on the sign blank. Basically what we have on the computer there is it's pretty much set up to those, and it goes through. It's got a very small but sharp needle that goes through and cuts everything out letter by letter. Once that's done cutting, our next stage would be bringing it over here. Currently picking out the sign letters right now. We call it weeding or picking or however you want to call it. Next, putting it on the transfer tape. Then after it's taped, we bring it over to the roller. That's where we apply it to the actual sign blank. And we'll roll it through one time just to get the air bubbles out. And the last stage is basically just taking the transfer tape off the front of it. And there's a finished product of the street name sign. We'll take you out to the field and show you our process that we go through. We're gonna go out and follow our sign guys and get something installed for you. This is where we check our underground utilities. Tim, you got AT&T?
AT&T's back here.
Evergy, Google, so we should be good to go. We normally put all of our stuff together out in the field. Then once the base is installed, we'll go ahead and put the post in there. These come up too. Perfect. And that's how we do it. Simple, quick.
Have you ever been driving around Lee Summit and wondered what's that going to be? What's being built there? Wow, that went up fast. The Development Minute is here to help, highlighting some of the newest projects in Lee Summit, Missouri.
Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen is coming to the former Lion's Choice at Summit Orchards. The fast food chain known for its fried chicken and spicy chicken sandwiches is scheduled to open in early 2025. Local authentic Mexican restaurant El Toro Loco is coming to Summit Woods Crossing Shopping Center. The restaurant will occupy the former On the Border location and offer dishes like street tacos, enchiladas, and fajitas. El Toro Loco will be opening in early 2025. Pho Noodle Go had a soft opening where the former Pepper Jack's Grill was located in Summit Woods Crossing. The establishment is currently serving a selection of pho noodle soups, appetizers, and daily specials. Pho Noodle Go will fully open in 2025. The Quick Trip located at 1001 Southwest Blue Parkway has begun its redevelopment. The squeaky clean car wash is being demolished to accommodate a new 5,300 square foot QT building and a planned phased rebuild. The current location will remain open during construction. The new QT will open in 2025. Discovery Park, the 3.9 million square foot mixed-use project located off of Northwest Colburn Road and Northeast Douglas Street, is underway, and its first phase, The Village, is being graded. Town Place Suites Hotel by Marriott will be one of the first builds coming to the Village. The hotel will feature spacious rooms with amenities including full kitchens.
That's it for the Development Minute. For more about upcoming projects, visit cityofls.net.
I am Fred DeMoro. I represent District 4. I've been on the council for 4 years, just completed 4 years. They were good 4 years, lot to do. And prior to that, I was on the Charter Review Commission. Prior to that, I spent 7 years on the Planning Commission. And the Planning Commission is actually the advising body to the City Council for land issues and development issues. I've always been interested in the city, and I actually, a current council member is the one that gave me the urge to, or push to actually join the Planning Commission. And I just wanted to get more involved. I think he got tired of me asking questions all the time, so he said, let's put him to work. The one thing that we are passionate about, or I'm passionate about, is reducing the burden of property taxes on our residents, and by that we have to attract more commercial development to get those commercial property taxes, commercial sales taxes involved, and as a trickle-down theory, that actually reduces the burden on residents. It sort of move from a bedroom community to a more diverse community tax base. I am Public Works Chairman, and we actually found money for a stormwater rate study. Now, what that will do is we will have a consultant come in and tell us how to actually enact or enable a stormwater rate to build a fund for being proactive on stormwater issues. We have a lot of stormwater issues in Lee Summit. We're surrounded by water. We're surrounded by lakes and river and things like that. And that is a big accomplishment. I know the Public Works chairmans before me had always tried to get that forward, and we finally did. And right now I think we've got an RFP for a consultant. And it's important to remember that we have to keep our infrastructure up, and that's just not stormwater and/or water utilities. That's curbs, gutters, sidewalks, and everything like that. I've been a resident since 1986, and when I moved in 1986, it was a small town, small city. And it is very interesting to have seen everything happen in those since 1986. And we have grown immensely. Citizen involvement is very important. I think that It makes us a better community. There are all kinds of people out there that have really great ideas that would fit well in our boards and commissions. And really, it's minimal time invested. They would be surprised of what they can do, the good they can do in a short amount of time, one meeting a month or one meeting every quarter, and really move things forward. And then, you know, help the council with the idea of what the community is actually needing and saying, and that's always important too.
On July 1, 2024, the city experienced a large amount of rain. The most intense rain occurred in the Cedar Creek watershed. Remington Woods is located in the Cedar Creek watershed, and the resident at 2428 Northwest Shady Bend Lane reported structural flooding. In support of the flooding that occurred, the city received photographs and letters from the residents in Shady Bend, along Shady Bend. These pictures painted the picture of not only flooding in the home, but also along the city right-of-way. Once staff determined the project met the qualifications for inclusion in the CIP, we contracted with Wilson and Company surveyors through our on-call agreement to collect survey data of the area. This agreement is going to be a little bit different than other agreements that have been approved in that it is a sole source agreement. Staff considers the expertise and knowledge of the Cedar Creek watershed obtained through the successful design of the Chipman Road improvements completed by Wilson and Company, along with the survey of the area as justification for a sole source agreement. With that, I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do I have any questions? Thank you, Chair. Sole source agreement.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain that first, what that means? Just like one instance or one?
It's a opportunity that the city has to do an agreement based on prior expertise by a particular vendor or consultant. In this case, Wilson and Company already had prior knowledge of this area because of their involvement with the Chipman Road improvements. The city procurement rules they give us the ability to do a sole source agreement because of that prior knowledge. When we have somebody with prior knowledge, it will help save the city money and time on the project.
Okay, perfect. And then may I ask, was this project as a result of the lady that came before us that had a lot of flooding, and it was?
Yes, this is really an example process that has been followed where she experienced flooding. She reached out to leadership, to you all, to staff, followed the steps of submitting proper forms and documentations reporting structural flooding, and that opened up access to this project that you see before you.
So I just want to compliment on that, because it was just like, so this lady came forward, she went through the steps, she was very professional, and we solved her problem, basically. We're in the process of working at solving that problem, which I just want to say that I feel really proud about that, because I spoke to this lady and it was quite harrowing for her, and so I'm really proud that we were able to do that.
Also, if I also might comment, George Binger, city engineer, part of this is also that the timing was very good, because we started in 2017, we started with a list of over 26 stormwater projects, and some were added, some have been completed. All 26 of those projects were either completed in design or construction as of last spring. So when she came forward, she was the next one in line that met the criteria of structural flooding and related to a lack of public infrastructure. So it wasn't just the case of being the loudest and the most professional, and it's in that sequence of first come, first serve if you meet the criteria. And as Ms. Quackenbush had referred to, we've received additional letters as well, and those are also being evaluated in a similar manner.
Yeah, and I didn't really mean it that way, that
Yes.
the loudest, but I'm glad that we were able to do it, because it was quite, terrible. And that was actually my next question, was how did we prioritize these projects Because that's always a question that people will ask, is just like, well, how come they got it over there and this person hasn't done that? And I think it's good for, if anyone's listening out there, to understand how we operate.
Okay, yeah, if that did answer your question, yes.
Yes.
First come, first serve.
Right.
Meeting those criteria.
Yes.
And then, and again, it also has to do with the funding availability, because we've underrun some of the projects in the stormwater part from that 2017 CIP sales tax, so there is a little bit of money left. And then that's something we're in the process of developing the FY26 CIP now, so we're working on our cost estimates and budgets to see what we can include, going forward for additional stormwater funding.
Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, George.
Any more questions? May I please get a motion?
I make a motion to move to City Council for approval, TMP-3201, an ordinance approving a sole source agreement for professional engineering services for the Remington Woods Stormwater Project by and between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri, and Wilson and Company, Inc., in the amount of $128,078, and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the same.
Second. A motion by Councilmember Rader and a second by Councilmember Carlisle. May I get a roll call, please?
Chair Pryor.
Aye.
Councilmember Carlisle.
Aye.
Councilmember Rader.
Aye.
The motion passes. Next up is item C, TMP-3207, an ordinance approving Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission amendment to State Block Grant Agreement Amendment Number 1 for project number 23-109A-1 by and between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri and the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for the design of a terminal building at the Lee Summit Municipal Airport and authorizing the mayor to execute the same. Mr. Park?
Yes, Michael Park, Director of Public Works. This is an amendment to our grant agreement to extend time. We need to extend time so that we can fully recover all of the reimbursables under the terms of the grant. This grant was for the terminal building design. The design has been completed, but the grant timeline expired more recently, and so we're just going to extend that grant timeline so that we take full advantage of the monies that are available. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? I see no questions. May I get a motion?
Sure. Thank you. I would move TMP-3207 to full council for approval, please.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Carlisle and a second by Councilmember Rader. May I get a roll call, please?
Chair Pryor.
Aye.
Councilmember Carlisle.
Aye.
And Councilmember Rader.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next up is item D, TMP-3223, an ordinance authorizing the approval of Amendment 2 to the Transportation Service Agreement with OATS by and between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri and OATS, and authorizing the city manager to execute the same. Susan Berry?
Good evening. Susan Berry, City Traffic Engineer, here for the approval of Amendment 2 to the OATS Agreement. We have a longstanding relationship with OATS. They provide our on-demand transit service to all residents of Lee Summit within the Lee Summit city limits. It's not limited to older adults. If you recall, last year we increased the fee from $1.50 to $3 per trip to try to cover some of the cost increases that OATS was seeing. This year, the increase is not in the fare, it's in the hourly rate of service, so the amount that we pay them for each hour that a van is running. So last year you approved $68 per hour, now it's going up to $70 an hour, which is about a 3% increase. In addition to that, we are adding something into the agreement, or into this amendment too, that we can do subsequent 3% approvals, up to 3% increases without coming back to council each year. So we feel like that's reasonable based on inflation every year, 3%. If they were to request, 5% or, anything like that, we would come back before you and do another amendment. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Are there any questions? I see no questions. May I please get a motion?
Chair, I move to full council for approval, TMP-3223, an ordinance authorizing the approval of Amendment 2 to the Transportation Service Agreement with OATS by and between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri and OATS, and authorizing the city manager to execute the same.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Rader and a second by Councilmember Carlisle. May I get a roll call, please?
Chair Pryor,
Aye.
Councilmember Carlisle,
Aye.
and Councilmember Rader.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next up is item D, TMP 3213, an ordinance authorizing the execution of a non-exclusive easement by and between the city of Lee Summit, Missouri and the Little Blue Valley Sewer District. Jeff Thornton.
Thank you. Jeff Thorne, Deputy Director, Water Utilities. Give you a little brief background on this. The city of Lee Summit is served by two sewer entities which do our treatment, Little Blue Valley Sewer District and Middle Big Creek Subdistrict. It's a subdistrict to Little Blue. The Board of Trustees, the management of Little Blue all reside over Middle Big Creek. We retain a seat on the Middle Big Creek Board. I reside in that seat and I serve with Little Blue Valley as a member of the Mayor's Advisory Board representing Middle Big Creek and the chair of the Technical Advisory Committee for Little Blue Valley. Middle Big Creek historically, and it serves basically from east of 291 roughly and south of 50 Highway. The Middle Big Creek plant is in Pleasant Hill, and all our sewers that are from 291 east and 50 south-ish, okay, drain into that plant. Historically, it has been on house count basically, right? So any connection of any building, whether it's the Walmart at 150 and 291, or it's the lone house sitting there, is one connection, all right? And they charge by connection, and that's what they've done through the years to collect their money. At the recommendation of the Technical Advisory Committee and the Middle Big Creek Board, they, with the expansion of the plant, are looking at putting in metering for each city entity that's a member, not at each house, but at the boundary of each city, right? What that does is it puts the amount of flow that each entity has against the entity and not just a house count. That allows to be able to track the water, the transient water that gets in from rainstorms, snow melt, and that kind of stuff into these systems, and goes and weighs on those guys, so they have to take care of their inflow and infiltration. It makes the rendering of billing to the entities net fairer. It makes it more accurate, and we know exactly what's going in. So we've been a big proponent of that. They've actually brought the change in how the billing methodology net before the governing body here, and you guys voted to approve it. One of the metering points is on some ground that we own inside of Greenwood. It's a site that was going to have wastewater lagoons on it at one point. And we've held it for some time, knowing that we may need to use it for some things in the future. But at this time, there's a line that runs down through there, and one of the metering points is on that line, and it's actually on property we own. So they need access to get to that metering point, a permanent easement for the metering point so they can do work on it, and some temporary access for construction. And that's what I bring for you today. They had it appraised, went through the process. We feel it's fair. We'd like to see this move forward and grant an easement to Little Blue Valley to access that meter site. Happy to take any questions you might have.
Thank you, Councilmember Carlisle.
Thank you, Jeff. So where they need the easement, there's already stuff there. So we already have an easement through the property.
It's a property we own, and we have a sewer easement. Well, we don't have an easement through our own property, but we have a sewer line that runs through there, and that's where they want to put the meter.
And yeah, that was gonna be my next. So it's within that same line where they want the easement. So it's not
That
like
line-
later on it's gonna be
No.
a problem.
That line was actually already constructed with a meter spot for a meter there. It just was never installed.
Okay, great. Okay. And we're giving them a permanent easement, so this isn't something that we're gonna have to come back every 10 years and vote on or anything like that, right?
No, the only thing that might change in the future might be an access easement, and that's only if we go to do something with the property. They'll still have to have access to the meter, but we can work with them. Like I said, the mayor sits on the Board of Trustees, and I sit on the Board of Middle Big Creek and the Mayor's Advisory
Okay,
Committee.
thank
for
you.
them.
Any additional questions?
I think I'm good.
May I please get a motion?
Chair, I move to council for full approval, TMP-3213 An Ordinance authorizing the execution of the non-exclusive easement by and between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri and Little Blue Valley Sewer District.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Rader and a second by Councilmember Carlisle. May I get a roll call, please?
Yes, Chair Pryor,
Aye.
Councilmember Carlisle,
Aye.
Councilmember Rader,
Aye.
Motion passes. Roundtable? Can I get an update on the snow removal, on where we're at, and just an update in general?
So where we're at right now, all of the routes have been run. We still have operators out with plows responding to supervisors' investigations, looking at, if you will, like slick spots, areas that might have been missed. There was a extremely high volume of reported issues. Some of them were just asking for information. Some of them were reported actual safety issues. And so with such a large volume, it has taken a lot of time for us to kind of filter through those to see which ones were legitimate, which ones had already just been addressed through time and activity. And so that's what they've been working on today, is mostly investigating service requests that have been submitted through LS Connect, which is the most efficient way to get that ticket created, and then following up on those investigations.
Ask.
Thank you. Councilmember Rader?
Thanks, Chair. This is kind of a maybe different question, but as I'm downtown all the time, so I'm driving up and down Douglas. Do we ever haul the snow out? Where it's piled 10 feet high almost, well, maybe not 10 feet, but it's 6 feet high up there, especially on the thoroughfares in front of the businesses, like for instance on Douglas. Would we ever do that?
So for the downtown area, we do have contract where we could haul out stuff, and my recollection is it might have happened once in the last 20, 25 years, but we did not exercise that this time. We were struggling really to get the downtown contractor to perform, and it wasn't part of our plan to step in, but we felt it was necessary that Public Works step in to take more ownership in the failures of our contractors downtown. I would say if you've got large piles of snow that may be a public safety issue, you can't see around a corner, something like that, that needs to be reported so that we can take a look at it.
And so, one more thing, and I'm sure this might come up tomorrow as well at the city council meeting, but so we have to hold our subcontractors accountable for the work that they do.
We do, and to my knowledge, I know the downtown contractor has been on contract, not just this year, but years previously. We had not experienced any issues with them, but there was apparent failures this time, whether that was personnel availability, experience, or equipment failure. Something broke down, and so that's when we had dispatched our crews with plows and backhoes and personnel to respond over the weekend to downtown.
So do we do that? Do we do yearly reviews for
Yes,
our subcontractors like that?
We will review the entirety of the plan. Like I said, our response downtown wasn't part of the plan. It was to have a contractor respond. And so that is part of the response, not only how we handled it from operations to customer service, but also the contracts that are in place to handle those areas like parking lots in downtown.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you say it was the same contractor that you've used before?
Yes, without concern, but then again, we have not had an event like this before. So, I mean, it stretched everybody beyond, I think, their capabilities. We did not have, I think, any way to assess what our goal should be for an event of this scale. It was the fourth largest snowfall on recorded history, dating back to the late 1800s. So it's difficult to manage something when you've never experienced it before, to plan for that. So while we recognize we have opportunities for improvement, we see that the contractor in this case did not perform. They were not capable of handling it. We'll find opportunities to improve. But I'm sure I'll be talking with council after we have our staff kind of post-operation briefing you do with any emergency operation, where maybe those opportunities are, but not to react in a way that we're planning for more than our typical operations and event that we would normally see. You know, it wouldn't make sense for us to budget, 5 or 10-fold what we would normally budget for equipment to just sit idle.
No, I just think it's interesting because I don't remember them ever having problems in the past, but like you said, we've not had a snowfall this big.
Correct.
But, well, thank you. Does staff have any roundtable?
I don't. Nice job for your first chair at Public Works Committee.
Adjourn the meeting at 4:55 p.m.